Right, so we've decided to make this video to talk about some of the problems that we've been experiencing with the new R80 engines, and hopefully we would like to get these problems sorted out before we place the next order. So we'll start with problem number 1. The biggest problem that we've been experiencing with these engines, with the last batch of engines that we ordered, is the bearings. Now, I don't know what the situation is, but these must be the worst bearings that I've seen in my entire life. We've had 15, I believe 14 to 15 engines returned due to failed bearings. And I just want to show you what the problem is. If you have a look here, I don't know if the camera is zooming in correctly there. Right, that could be right. So if you have a look here, these are the bearings that are on the engines at the moment, and to be honest with you, they're just ridiculous. 15, as I say, 15 engines returned due to failed bearings, and it's just costing us so much money and so much time that we could be using elsewhere at the moment. So here's one example of a failed bearing. I've got another one here, again same issue. You can see here what's going on. It's obviously failed. That's why you can see that movement in there. There you go, you can see that clearly. Okay, and we've got another one here as well to show you as an example. So we want you to stop using these bearings immediately, and I'll show you what sort of bearings we want you to use, and I'll also provide you the name of the supplier who can provide these bearings from China. Right, so the bearings that we want you to use okay, here we go. Let's just zoom that out a bit so you can see what's going on here. Yep. Okay, so I think you can see that clearly from there. Right, so here we go, Nick. For the clutch, what we want you to use is a bearing. Basically, it's called 6202Z. Okay, and it has a metal shield around the bearing here, and this basically goes in here this way, like so. So you press fit that in. Okay, 6202Z. Okay, and the back side is open, obviously, so this will go in here. Okay, and for here, what we want you to use is another bearing. I'll just get the right. Yeah. So this is, as I say, these are all SKF brand bearings, and I'll show you here. I mean, the quality difference on these, between these and what you've been using, is just day and night difference. These are imported bearings from Italy. Okay, the SKF brand is imported from Italy, and the FAG brand is imported from Germany. Okay, so no more China bearing, please. These China bearings that you've been using, they've caused us so much problem. It's just unbelievable. I'll go into some more details later on to show you some of the problems that we've been having. But so the 6202Z will go in there, and this is called a 6202RS, and this is obviously, as you know, it's installed inside here, pressed in through in the main crank housing. Okay, now one of the issues that we found was on some of the engines that were returned to us where we had to change the bearings. Some idiots at the factory had installed them I mean, as you know, with these bearings, the side with the rubber seal needs to be, here we go with this one here. So the side with the rubber seal needs to be installed this way into the main crank housing. Some of the engines we found, the seal was installed this way, which, as you know, is completely wrong, because if no lubrication gets inside here, then that will damage the bearing as well. So that's something, please, you need to look out for at the factory. Make sure they install these the correct way around inside the crank housing, with the rubber seal facing this way, okay, and the open side facing this way. So the rubber seal has got to go in that way, and the open side needs to be this way, and obviously then you'll just press it in. Right. So as I say, that was one of the biggest problems that we had. I had, as I say, roughly 15 engines returned just because of failed bearings, and these problems could have been avoided if you had used quality bearings in the first place. We've been using FAG and SKF in our previous engines, and we have never, as I say, in roughly 7 years of doing business now in the UK, we have never ever had a single failed bearing on any of our engines. And to have 15 engines fail with failed bearings out of 100, it just, you know, it's telling you straight away there's a problem with the bearings and you need to sort it out. So as I say, I will provide you with the details of the supplier who does the bearings in China. Okay, now, well, I'll try and get them. Well, I'll email you this document, and I'll send you a sample. I'll send you a copy of this document with the DVD as well. But if I could just get the screwdriver right. So, what you want to make sure is you want to request FAG, FAG or SKF brand imported bearings only. Okay. Now SKF brand is made in Italy, and FAG brand is made in Germany, right? So whether you use FAG or SKF, it doesn't matter, as long as you use one of those two brands for the bearings. We don't want no more China bearings because they cause us so much problem. We never want to see those bearings again, to be honest with you. Now the precision rating must be P5. Okay, that must be the precision rating of the bearing, because that basically tells you the quality which it was made at, and also it gives you an idea of the quality that you can expect to get from the manufacturer. Now, as I say, for the clutch housing you need 6202Z model number, okay, and for the crank housing you need 6202RS, okay. Now 6202Z is the one with the metal shield for the clutch housing, and 6202RS is the one with the rubber shield for the crank housing. Okay, now I mean here it's just telling you basically how many you're going to need. If we ordered, for example, 100 engines, you would need 200 pieces 6202Z, and you would use 2 pieces for each clutch, and you would need 200 pieces 6202RS, and you would use 2 pieces each for each engine crank. Okay, now the supplier details are also here as well. The person who can supply these for you, there are many companies who do the SKF or the FAG imported bearings, but one of the suppliers that we know is basically Guangzhou Rimao Bearing Company Limited, and their address is, if I can get that straight up here actually, room 210, Yanglin Business Center, number 48, Nanzhou Road, Haizu District. The city is Guangzhou, province is Guangdong, country is obviously mainland China, zip code is 510288. The telephone numbers are here: 0086 208901 5225, and you need to speak to Mrs. Lucy Liu or Lucy Liu. So as I say, I will provide you with this document by email. I will also provide a copy of this document with the DVD, and make sure you request and you use FAG or SKF brand bearings only. Okay, now the reason why I'm telling you to use these bearings is because we had ridiculous problems. Now I'm going to explain to you, as I say, one of the problems that we had. Another one of the problems that we had is, for example, normally when one of these bearings fail here, okay, especially the clutch bearings, if they do fail, there's a very easy way to remove them. Okay, now for example, let's say this is let's just say this is one of the clutch bearings and it's inside here. Okay, normally we have special tools that fit inside the race of the bearing, and it allows us to pull the bearing. So we have a tool that fits inside the race of the bearing here. Where's that screwdriver gone? Right, so we have a special tool that fits inside the race of the bearing, and it allows us to pull this bearing out. Okay, but because the bearing that you used, you see, the balls inside there are not a standard ISO size. The bearing that you used in your engine, the balls inside here, they are not a standard ISO size. So our tool, which is like, you know, an $800 tool we use, it's a special bearing tool, and we use it to pull the bearings out. It doesn't fit inside here. It doesn't fit inside the race of the bearings because this is not a standard size. Okay, whereas if you had used a proper bearing, you know, a P5 precision rating bearing, it would have had, as I say, it would have had the proper size, and we could easily use our tools to pull the bearing out straight from here. There's no need to open the engine, we could just pull the bearing out from here. But as I say, because the bearing that you used wasn't a standard size, we have to open the whole engine, and from the inside we have to push the bearing out. Okay, so as I say, that was a big problem, and I'll show you the difference between a precision P5 bearing and your bearing. Okay, now if I can get this to work here. Right, so I don't know if you can see this from here, but alright, let's try and get this here. Right, can't do it from there. Can we get this from here? I don't know if you can see that. Okay, anyway, the size of the balls and the space between the balls is different. On an ISO bearing, the ball is a standard size and the space between the balls is a standard size. And this is international, it's the same size everywhere. On the bearing that you used, the space between the balls inside is not a standard size. So normal standard tools all over the world, international tools, they cannot be used with this to remove it, as I say. So please only use SKF or FAG brand imported bearings only, and I will provide the details for you for the supplier in China. And make sure you use the right bearings, please, from now on. Not these ones, but these, and also the where's the other one gone? Here you go. Right, now I'll tell you how you can tell if they are original bearings, because if you have a look here, right, let's get this the right way around so you can see this. Now you may be able to just tell in that corner, it's laser etched on, it says SKF. Okay, this is an original quality bearing, and it's got all the markings around the engine as you go around here. It's got all the numbers. It says here made in Italy, you can clearly see that. Okay, and then obviously you've got all the rest of the details for the size of the bearing. But with the bearings, obviously with your bearings, as you can see here, this is the bearing that was inside the engine, and as you can see, it's clearly, you know, the damage really is in. There's no markings on the outside of the engine whatsoever, on the outside of the bearing whatsoever. So I believe that's cleared that up anyway, and we will now move on to the next issue.